Welcome to the Forward Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Shepard.
Hey, I'm Kari. Good to see/hear you all. I was going to say good to see you all. Can't see anybody.
You can't hear me either.
Yeah.
Good to be with y'all this week.
Good for you to hear us.
I'm so glad that y'all have tuned in to listen to your favorite podcast where we move things forward.
Yes, we're talking this week about friendship. And it's something that I like to talk about because I feel like we have the best friends in the whole world. We have amazing friends, but it's not always easy. And that's definitely something we've found in ministry and in just Christian life in general, that sometimes friendships, even as adults, can be a little bit challenging.
Yeah.
And in our culture with lots of screens and a lot less like community time, sometimes we run across adults that are starving for that community and friendship that is like really necessary.
I think, personally, I feel like you're really good at this topic.
Oh,
You
thanks.
give a couple of lectures at different conferences, and so I feel like you're really good at talking through it. You actually probably are a little bit better at making friends, deep friendships, than I am.
Really?
I would say. Oh yeah, we could talk a little bit more about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But yes, for sure. I think
Yeah.
some of your friends and friendship and maybe that's just a male-female thing. But so I think talking about this subject, there's no better person to pick their brain on
Thank you.
than you, Miss
Yeah.
Kari Clayton Shepard. For sure. You really do. You're really good at it.
Thanks. Yeah, I think friendship is super important. We grew up pastors' kids, me and my siblings. So it was just part of our life. Like people at church that came, making everyone feel included, making everyone feel welcome. It kind of was secondhand, but at the same time, it was such a good life skill to learn.
Yeah.
And just growing up in ministry and then getting married and all of us being in ministry together, I've really seen how that can translate not just into like, serving other people and welcoming them into the church, but also it really is like something that impacts my own life on a personal level.
Yeah.
So we're really wanting to talk about making friends and having that support community. And this is kind of part of a lecture that I give to ladies at retreats, but also you should have friends that are outside your community and you should be reaching people in a friendly way. So it's kind of like this really beautiful picture of we want to be reaching people and we want to be making friendships outside, our bubble, so to speak, to reach them. But at the same time, if you don't have that support system inside your community, if you don't have those really good friendships, it's a lot harder not to get pulled away. Like, I don't know if you guys ever had that illustration as teenagers where you stand up on the chair and they're like, it's hard to pull someone up on the chair, but it's easy to pull someone down off the chair.
Yeah.
So they use that as an illustration. Like if you make bad friends, it's easy for them to pull you down. And that's even true of adults. I mean, you can make friends that really negatively impact your worldview and your habits and all that. But I think it's easier if you're trying to be an influence on someone for good when you have friendships that are super solid, mentors that you go to, people that are in your same life stage. And it's just like this really beautiful picture of support. And then as you're being held by that support, you're able to reach out and be strong enough to help others.
Yeah. So, okay, let's do this. I'm going to get away from our notes for just a second because I was thinking of something.
You always get away from our
Kari
notes.
would
Why
be-
do I write these notes?
I think it's because
Why?
we get into it and then I'm like, okay, maybe people don't really want to know about like making friends. Like, so let's talk about friendship. But I'm going to ask you a question. So get ready. Are you ready for this?
How long this took me?
Yes. Okay, we'll go back to them in a minute. But
Just
this will be, I think this is going to bring in more people. Why? Number one, friendship is biblical. So it's not like there are verses. The wisest man who ever lived wrote verses on he who had friends but show himself friendly, iron sharpens iron. Like there's a lot about friendship. There's a lot about family and brotherhood and Christian faith and the local church coming together. So all of those subjects, those who tune into the Forward Podcast every week, they know these things. So let's jump into why, Kari Shepard, is this subject so divisive? Like, why do we have so many different opinions when it comes to friendship? And let me give you an example. There are those that would say, okay, we only need friends inside the church. So we need our own ball league, and we need our own Christian school, and we need everybody to be busy every night of the week on campus here.
Yeah.
And then you have another category. It's like, I come to church, so make me friends. Give me a ladies' conference. Give me a ladies' Bible study, a men's Bible study. Your job is to give me friends. Okay, so you have one, it's like cult-like, camp-like. It's us four no more. We bring everybody to our campus. That's what's it. Our outreach is just pass out tracts, and that's it. If you want to be in and be friendship, you have to come to church, and you have to be in our clique. Then you have those that are like, just come and like, give me friends. I want it. I need it. And then you have the other that takes it in a really crazy way and like, well, I don't have any close friends in the church because we're supposed to be reaching the world for Christ. So all my friends are outside of the church. And that's why so many people nowadays are, they're going to the bars and they're hanging out here. Then they don't even have time to come to church because all their friends are outside of the local church. So you really have, there's some get super mad at cliques and like, oh, these people come in, they just hang around these people at church. And it's funny because we've been in ministry now 20 plus years, 2 decades, and we have a lot of these conversations that are very divisive. Everybody has these weird opinions about something that in my mind should be just pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a complicated theology. It's the philosophy of friendship. Like, we're going to do a whole podcast on it, but yet people write entire books about this and series on this.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you, like, from your point of view, why is this such a weird subject to talk about? And why do we have so many differing views that are really way far apart?
I think probably a lot of it is people that operate from a fear mentality. They're living, they operate and their motivating factor in a lot of the way they live their life is fear. I know that when we grew up, not necessarily specifically to like my home church, but just culturally speaking in our denomination, it was very, everyone was very afraid to be influenced by the world. Like that was the culture. The youth groups preached on it, if I want to see who you are, I'll look at your friends. Your friends show me who you are. You are now or soon will be what your friends are. The chair illustration, like all of these things were very pushed down our throats. Like, if you make a bad friend, it's going to ruin your life, and it was very fear-based. It was very like scare tactics. Instead of walking in victory and saying, you can go out in the world and you can have friendships because you're strong enough spiritually to influence the world. And what you have is good enough to offer. And it's something that they should desire because they see the strength of Christ in you. That was never taught. It was never taught. That I mean, the circles we grew up, it was all your friends are going to ruin you and you got to have godly friends. And the funny thing is, I always wondered, like, okay, if I pick the godliest person in the room to be my friend so they influence me well, who's their influence?
Yeah.
Like, this has to end somewhere.
Right.
And then you really realize, like, everybody's basically the same.
Right.
Like, there are people that are super godly, so you think, and then you find out something about them, or they're weak in an area where you're strong. So as I grew up and kind of looked around me, I was like, this whole thing is kind of based in some wacky, theology. Like, it was very fear-based.
Yeah.
And I think that has really affected our generation in making friends, because it's like everything is centered around the church, and it's easier to be lazy and let the church like owe you friendship. And a lot of people will do that. I've seen people come into the church and make it their quote unquote community because, to be quite frank, they have a terrible personality and they've never been taught how to be properly social. So you come into a church where a whole group of people feels obligated to make you feel welcome and obligated to be loving to you. And that's fine. And that's good. And that's right.
Yeah.
But that's not the reason you should come into a church. It should be to worship God and to grow closer to Jesus and to learn his word. And then the byproduct of that is all of these people that love God, and God's word tells us to love one another. And so the byproduct of worshiping Jesus is friendship. You don't come in to like, collect on these people that are trying to do the right thing, and you get this community, and then you have this attitude the whole time of like, well, nobody calls me, well, nobody invited me to the park, well, nobody, it's like that's not how that's supposed to go.
Right.
It's very natural and it's very organic when it flows from a community that are all seeking the Lord, which is ideally what you want.
Right. I think addressing that, somebody might say, okay, well then how do you correctly address that afraid of culture spirit? Because I do think there can be mistakes that are made.
Yeah, for sure.
So there has to be a line. There needs to be some standards, or some what's the word?
Boundaries?
Like boundaries that are put in place. And this is what I often say, is grow into those roles. So of course, when you're teaching someone, like there's things I don't necessarily let my kids just jump into because they are not ready for that yet. So you grow in it.
Yeah.
Somebody says, well, if you're friends with the world, you're going to become like the world. Well, it shouldn't be like that forever. Like you're going to be feeding on God's word, and you're growing, and you get to a place where yes, you're there and you're ready. I heard somebody say the other day, well, we send our kids to a public school, and great, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not here to argue with them, but they're like, but our kids, they're missionaries. They're going to be missionaries in this place. And the more you think about that, though, too, missionaries are on the field. They are 22 years old, 24, 25 years old, or older, and they've been through, a bachelor's degree or doctorate degree. Like their philosophy of life is very set up.
Right.
An immature kid's not there yet.
Yeah.
So how much training has, really an 8-year-old going to be going into that environment? Maybe not. So I think you have to grow. I think you can't live in that mindset forever, which is unfortunately what we did. Is it pumps people full of, don't go hang out, don't be part of the world, don't be, instead of, no, we train to be able to go into the world and to abide and to dwell. And okay, well, we're not bar hopping. Okay, and we're not here and we're not involved in this. Why? Because we've grown in the Holy Spirit and we've grown in the Word to where we are able to make friends of the world and have an influence and impact on their life.
Yeah.
But how many times have you won ladies to the Lord and it's like, probably best not to hang out with these people right now until you get stronger. Yeah. Because those friends were the ones that you went to clubs and this and that with. And, your friendships need to change for a while until you get stronger to be able to handle that temptation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that's where, like, in my original, lesson, and which I referenced in the beginning of the episode, is like, I think having that base of support with godly friends that are in your church or your family or wherever they may be, like, if you have that support and that accountability, people that know you, people that are invested in your growth spiritually, those are the type of people that if you're going to reach other people outside, like your neighbors or work, coworkers or whatever, you've got those people in your corner. They're praying for you. I remember it when we lived in California, there was a neighbor that invited me to her party, and she was having a bunch of ladies from the neighborhood, and she's like, yeah, you should come. We have all these Jello shots or whatever. And I was like, right away, I was like, oh, well, I do not drink, but I will be there. Thank you. Like, I'd love to meet the ladies in the neighborhood. And so I felt fine to go and fellowship with ladies. And I wasn't this terrified, like, oh, I can't go to that party because, they'll be drinking. And if anybody saw me, they wouldn't know if I was drinking. Well, if they didn't know if I was drinking or not, then they don't know me. They don't know my character. And they should ask. Like, they should find out. And they shouldn't judge me until they do know. And so I think situations like that exact situation growing up would have been extremely isolating, because I know the culture in which I was raised, it would have been like, no, let not your good be evil spoken of. You shouldn't have been at a party where there was alcohol. And yet I went to that party and made a couple friends, later had like a skincare, I sold skincare at the time, party at my house with my church friends, and those ladies came to my house, and one of them stayed and sat down and cried, telling me about her disabled child. And we cried together. I gave her the gospel. She did not get saved at the time, but I had an amazing opportunity to witness to her. She knew who we were. I told her all about the church, all this stuff, and like was able to witness to her in a very like vulnerable time in her life. And it was like, well, it was worth it. You know, like, okay, so I swooped in on a party where some of them were doing, you know, Jello shots or whatever. I didn't do anything wrong. I had an impact. And that lady will remember me, and she'll remember that presentation of the gospel. So it's like, it's just one of those things where I didn't have to go and do what they were doing. And I right off the bat was like, oh, I don't drink, but I would love to come and meet people. You know, like it was chill. It was no big deal. So it's stuff like that where I think we've really missed the boat on in conservative circles of what friendship is and how it can be used. I mean, you look at Jesus going to sit down, you know, with Zacchaeus. I mean, exact same situation. You know, that's somebody with a horrible reputation. That's a sinner. Nobody wanted that to happen. And Jesus is like, whatever, scoot over. Like, we're eating with this guy and it's happening. And he didn't go and become like besties with him and indulge in his sin, but he went and confronted it in a friendly way. He went in his world. He sat down at his table and he confronted that in a way that was like, I'm here in your space and I care about you. And I think that is entirely possible. It's a beautiful thing. It's completely possible. But I do think it's wise to have already that support group of people that keep you accountable and help you. And especially, you know, obviously, if you've been an alcoholic and you're struggling with drinking, then attending a party like that wouldn't be wise for you. But if it's somebody like, you know, me, I've never struggled with that. I can go and in good conscience work with people and be a witness for Christ. So I think it's definitely.
What is if on here you have say open friendships outside the church? Okay, so and that's what you're trying to do this, but why? What is the ultimate goal in your mind would be for Christ if He's telling us have relationships outside of just your local church or your little group, or you know even like your family? It's just, I mean, you talk to your sisters probably like every single day. So why is it healthy then to have friendships outside of just, you know, Katie and Crystal and Mom and or outside of the church? Like, what's the end game? What's the goal in your mind?
Yeah, well, obviously it's, you know, go out into the highways and hedges and compel them to come in. I mean, at some point we have to do that. At some point we have to go out and compel them.
Sure.
And that's something that's also been lost. You know, we leave it to, you know, okay, well, I'll pass out a track at McDonald's or whatever. Like at some point we have to get out there and go into the highways and the hedges and ask them to come. Like it's just, we got to do it.
So
we're missing that.
I think this is where I would interject, because this is where most people argue and say, well, our job is to go pass out tracts or to door knock, or, you know, that's why we have quote unquote visitation, which for many years absolutely worked in the American culture in which we live. But the American culture has changed to where ring doorbells and no soliciting has made it almost impossible to live by that motto anymore. Street preaching, I'm not against any of these things, but it definitely has changed. No one's like, oh my word, I gave my life to Christ because some guy was yelling at me on the side of a red light or knocking on doors. Like there's different areas, but for the most part, we all can agree it has changed. And what has come in more now is the ability to make friendships, the ability to lead with kindness, the ability for connection, one-on-one, not AI, human connection. Is, I believe, the end of the end times. This is what we live in. And I would have to agree with you that, yes, go out to the highways and the hedges, but we've always had an excuse because we did Tuesday night visitations. So we don't have to make friends. But that has changed, Care. Like now, you really have to. The people that came to VBS that you personally invited none of those families that I know of were like last minute, like, oh, here's a track and come. you stopped, you were at their door,
Mhm.
you made a connection, you talked to them, you've
Mhm.
seen them at the pool, you've seen them in the neighborhood. Like
Yeah.
every family that came because of Kari Shepherd was because
Mhm.
of a personal connect that you had with them.
Yeah.
That's why I believe in Little League and basketball programs
Yeah.
and these things outside of church,
Mhm.
is because it gets us to rub shoulders.
Yeah.
And they may be standing there at the ball game with the beer in their hand,
Mhm.
and cuss words may fly, but it's a connection with someone that's showing them
Yeah.
we're not just going to yell at them because they cussed around our kids.
Yeah.
We're going to lead them to a friendship that the end game is to get them to know Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. And it's not like, I don't know, again, like, I don't like the cultural mindset of, oh man, if we're around cussing, like, oh, that's, I don't like the thought that we can so easily be influenced. I reject that.
Mm.
I do not like that.
Is it because you cuss?
Yes, we got to keep cussing in the picture. No, I actually hate cussing.
You really do.
I would never. I don't think even if I was a Christian, I would not cuss. Like
Even if you were not a Christian?
Yes.
I think you said even if I were a Christian.
That is an unfortunate.
I don't know. Maybe you didn't. I need to rewind it, but I think
that's an unfortunate mistake.
Retract.
Even if I were not a Christian, I
You may have
would
said
not
that.
use foul language. I think it's just so crass. I just hate
It
it.
really
It's
is.
just
It's-
disgusting. But anyway, I reject someone acting like I'm this baby that can't be controlled if I'm around sin or I'm around something worldly, like that will influence me and I will be ruined. Like, I hate that mindset. Like, no, I reject that. Because I stand near someone that is cursing, oh, now I'm gonna, that'll ruin me, that'll take me down. Like, and that's how Christians act. We act like if we're around the world, oh, it's this, we're stained forever. Like, good grief, grow up. Like, be an adult. You be the influence. I walk confidently up to anyone. I walked up to a lady last week in our neighborhood. I said, you need to come to our church. We'd love to have you. Bring the kids, all this. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry. We're Muslim. And I grabbed her hand and said, it's okay. We want Muslims there. And she goes, you do? I said, yeah, we do. I said, come on. Like, I'm not going to shy away from that. Like,
Right.
I don't like people assuming that because we go out into the world, we're the ones, we're going to fall. We're going to fall. Like, what are you, 5?
Well, we do. Yeah, you have
It's sad.
You have to mature.
Yeah, grow up. Like,
right.
you go out into the world and you be the influence and you be the strong one and you be the strength. Yeah, obviously you don't want to be foolish and put yourself into temptation you can't handle.
Sure.
But find the areas that you can. Find where you're strong. Find where you're not going to, let that affect you. And again, go out with support. Go out with support from already Christian strong friends that encourage you and you encourage them.
Yeah.
And I think it is definitely a balance, but it's something that we can do.
Right.
It's something that's easily accomplished.
Right.
I think we've just kind of let it go.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to group up in our churches.
Right.
And it's easy to be like, well, these are my friends and we support and love each other. Good. Don't stop. But like, also maybe branch out and like
Right.
do the whole Great Commission.
And we do need that as well. We do
Yeah.
need close friends that are in the church so we
Absolutely.
can cry together and confess faults one to another and pray for each other. And James 5 talks about this, and we do need those deep connections
Yes.
as well.
Yeah,
and come
absolutely.
in and find those people that are hurting.
Mhm.
And that's what the family of God is for.
Yes.
Is to come together. And so I think, Kari, I love what you said. It's a balance. It
Yeah.
can't just be, well, we don't hang around anybody at church because we just try to make friends in the neighborhood or we're here or there. Like, no, I mean, there's some of our greatest friendships we have in life. We worship to God every single Sunday together.
Yeah.
And those relationships, to cultivate those and to continue to work on those and be there for each other is vitally important as well.
Yeah,
It
you've
really
got to
is.
have that. And I think that is definitely, obviously, your relationship with God comes first. But then it is true, like you asked earlier about why is it important to have people outside of family? And I think the answer to that, which I don't think we got to, is perspective. It's perspective because your family's most likely, hopefully, going to be on your side.
So true.
And, it's your family. Like,
Right.
they're going to take up for you. They're going, you might talk about a hurt you had. They're going to take your side. I think having friends outside of family and even sometimes, your closest church friends and branching out a little bit, it does give you more perspective. It helps you to see maybe different sides of yourself. And I love that verse, iron sharpeneth iron. Like you're pruned and you're created and you're, made better or worse sometimes by your friends, but they definitely reveal who you are.
Yeah.
It reveals your heart, who you hang out with, who you love, who you go to for advice. All of that kind of chips away and reveals exactly who we are, which is good.
Right.
That's something you want to know because you can work on it if there's weaknesses.
It's good. So let's both give one last tip. Mine, I would say, on the topic of friendship would be this. I really believe just be yourself. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
So there are some people that are like, no, we come in church, we don't want anybody hanging out, no cliques. Everybody just needs to be, well, it's never going to happen. I've been preaching this for 20 years.
Yeah.
You're always going to have the people who love dogs hang out, the people who love sports hang out, the people who are the same age hang out. Like there will always be cliques in church. Like it's just going to happen. But if you're the person that doesn't want it, then just be who you are. And people do it, great. Some people are I can only have one friend. It's fine. I'm not that person, but be who you are. That's fine. Like if you're a person that has a lot of shallow friends, then I think oftentimes when we try to go in and change everybody to be who we are or what we define friendship, that's where we get very frustrated with everybody. And so my advice is just be who you are in Christ. Be friendly. Make deep, meaningful relationships, because I've watched people, like even my parents, who have done that for years. And through very difficult times of life, they had close friends that walked with them all the way through. Yeah. And so my advice, just be who you are and make good friendships. Yeah. What would you be?
I would say be bold. Be bold. Don't be afraid. Friendship can be awkward. You're not going to make new friends and you're not going to be a good friend without some awkward moments, without some, talks that maybe feel embarrassing. You're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes, but be bold. Like that's part of the human experience. Yeah. We're all people. We're all, just trying to do our best. And I think the people that are bold and you don't care if someone's a few years older, a few years younger than you, they might not even go to the same church. Like it's okay. Reach out and love, make a connection. And I'm the type of person where, most people say, all you need is a few good, loyal friends, and that's enough. And I'm like, no, not for me. Don't like that. I want a million friends, and I have lots of friends. And I don't care. We don't have to have all these deep talks and emotional connections. Like, if we can just run for coffee or chat on the phone for a few minutes or text, like that's fine. That fills me up. I don't need like two people that know everything about me. I don't need that. I like a lot of people.
And that's cool.
And that's fine.
Who you are.
Yeah. But I think in any case, whether you're a 1 friend person or a 1,000 friend person, be bold. Like be willing to be vulnerable, be willing to be open to new friends, be open to forgiving old ones that maybe have lapsed in the past, and let God use you in your friendships.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah. Well, y'all, thanks for tuning in this week. Hope this is a help and encouragement to you. And let us know your thoughts, and let us know if we're your friends.
We will be if you don't have any.
That's right.
Thanks for listening. Have a great week.